Across the United States, more than 100,000 violent crimes occur in a single school year.
5,000 of us are victims of bullying every day.
More than 282,000 of us are physically attacked in school every month.
Nearly 160,000 of us skip school every day because we're afraid.
Research shows us that countless acts of serious violence in schools have their seeds in bullying. Whether it's family instability, the pressures to succeed, a continual bombardment of violent imagery, or easy access to weapons, many of today's schools are becoming more and more dangerous. For thousands of children, bullying is a very serious and frightening reality. It's a behavior that must be addressed by adults in order to avoid what can often result in unthinkable and deadly consequences. Bullying has typically been viewed as part of growing up. The fear, anxiety, or physical pain that a child encounters is often considered a rite of passage. Some adults even believe it's beneficial. It toughens a kid up, teaches them to stand up for themselves and how to survive in the real world. Adults must recognize that bullying is not just kids being kids. It's cruel, it's disrespectful, and inexcusable at any stage of life.
If bullying makes somebody more resilient and tougher and stronger, then the kids who are bullied would be the most well-adjusted kids in our society and become the most well-adjusted adults. And we clearly know that's not true. The research bears that out, that it's not true. If you're a victim of bullying, or if you are a bully as a child, you set yourself up for a host of difficulties in college, in adult years, and beyond.
While all children get into conflict at one time or another, it's not always considered bullying. However, adults should address all conflict so that it does not grow into bullying. A person is being bullied when he or she is exposed repeatedly and over time to negative and abusive actions. These actions can be broken down into three categories: physical, verbal, and relational. In the elementary grades, physical bullying is easy to recognize because it includes obvious behaviors such as kicking, spitting, pulling hair, shoving, and biting. As children reach middle school, physical bullying becomes more violent, as well as more sexually oriented due to natural development. At this time, boys are more likely to engage in physical bullying, and girls are more likely to engage in relational bullying. Verbal bullying is the most common form of bullying. It begins in the primary grades and continues through high school. Verbal bullying consists of name-calling, teasing, and cruel jokes about one's appearance, ethnicity, gender, sexual orientation, or physical disabilities. In a recent study, the most common reason for bullying given by students of all ages was that the person didn't fit in. Relational bullying begins during the middle school years. It is a more underhanded form of bullying that involves gossiping, spreading rumors, and ostracizing.
The girls will spread rumors or whisper or glare or stick their tongue out, or at lunch I've seen them take another's lunch and put it away so the other one can't find it. The girls tend to be more below the surface, and the boys are a lot more overt and a lot more physical.
Girls tend to engage in this behavior more than boys, and because it is underhanded, it often goes uncorrected. The stereotypical image of a bully is often the big, strong kid with a tough look on his face. But the reality is that bullies aren't always the biggest or the strongest, and they aren't always boys. Bullies come in all shapes and sizes. However, they do share some common characteristics. First and foremost, bullies have a need to feel powerful and in control. They carry a lot of internal anger, are defiant toward people in charge, lack interpersonal skills, and show little remorse for hurting another person.
Often bullies, even though it's not readily apparent, they tend to have low self-confidence, low self-esteem, and this feeling of power they get over another child makes them feel better about themselves.
The bullies are really good at seeing the weaknesses in other kids, and that's how they get their power. They'll say, well, I know he's sensitive about his weight, or I know he's a new kid, or he's not very good at sports, and they see that, and they use that to make them feel more powerful.
Boys who bully tend to use direct methods, such as physical fighting or verbal attacks. Boys are also more likely to admit being a bully. Girls, on the other hand, can actually be the worst bullies of all. Although they do not physically harm others as often as boys do, their indirect methods, like spreading rumors, socially isolating others, and manipulation, can harm an individual's self-esteem immeasurably, and for many years into adulthood. Whether direct or indirect, the key component is physical or psychological intimidation.
Sometimes I don't even mean it. It just comes out, and I just say mean things, and it hurts after I say it, but I guess it feels good in that moment, so I just say it to make me happy.
I have bullied people. I've never been to the point where I've gone and violently hit a kid or anything like that, mainly to the point of teasing, so.
There is no one answer as to why someone uses bullying tactics, but there is evidence that it is often triggered by their home environment.
Most bullies that I have known in the schools, and that's been literally thousands, if you go back and look at their home situation, you'll find out in virtually every case that they've suffered some of the same type of harm themselves in their own homes.
Children may be learning how to bully because they're victims at home. Maybe siblings are picking on them, and they, in turn, are taking it out on their classmates.
I have a little brother, and he could be very irritating sometimes, and he does things on purpose just to make me mad, and he knows it too. And so I get mad, and sometimes I hit him, or I yell at him, or I call him a name or something, and then he ends up crying or telling on me or something.
I think my little sisters go to pick on people because I pick on them, and they think that's what they should do.
Please don't, I'm sorry.
Other possibilities include having parents who are verbally or physically abusive, which sends the wrong message that striking back is an appropriate solution to handling problems. Regardless of the circumstances, the key to bullying prevention lies in early intervention.
It's key to address it as soon as it's identified. Otherwise, if left unchecked, it'll continue to gather steam, to get bigger and bigger like a snowball rolling down a hill.
Evidence proves that bullies often spiral into a lifetime of destructive behavior. Those who bully are more likely to drop out of school, use drugs and alcohol, engage in delinquent and criminal behavior, as well as physically abuse their own children. An even more stunning statistic reveals that more than half of students who are considered bullies have a criminal record by the age of 24.
In today's society, it's really very sad that any juvenile justice system is a growing business. It means that all of us as adults are not being present to children as they're developing. We're not intervening with them. We're not giving them the encouragement, the feelings of safety, and the guidance to help them learn behaviors that make them very successful in life, get along with people, and grow.
Students say that not fitting in is the most frequent reason someone is picked on. It may be the color of their skin, the way they speak, their height, weight, or even the clothing they wear. Whatever makes them different, victims usually do not respond effectively when they are picked on. So they are viewed as safe targets, resulting in repeated bullying.
They used to call me like muffin and midget and short stuff and all kinds of names, and they'd make me feel left out.
I got tired of being bullied, and so basically I just stayed home from school, or I'd have my mom sign tardy slips, you know, for whenever I just decided, okay, I'll go today. Today's not going to be so bad. And it got so bad that I even had a warrant out for my arrest for truancy because I had quit going to school. You know, I didn't want to be there if I was going to be picked on.
I've been picked since 6th to 7th grade. And I just start crying and leave from the group. And I leave. Nobody can see me. I feel telling somebody, but I can't. I won't come out.
Studies show that victims are often timid, anxious, socially isolated, and in many cases are the children of overprotective parents.
One of the reasons why victims are victimized is because adults and people in their environment don't stop that behavior, don't put it on check. Another reason is that the kids don't have adequate social skills to effectively stop that behavior themselves.
Victims of bullying often experience significant long-term effects. Apart from being very unhappy and isolated, they tend to suffer from fear, anxiety, and low self-esteem. Pushed too far, victims will do the unthinkable, stopping at nothing to gain retribution, or even taking their own lives.
Pay attention, a little closer attention, as to whether or not your child might be depressed, and to get some help if you're concerned about that. Is the child having sleep problems? Is his schoolwork going down? Is he having problems with his interpersonal relationships? Some of the other things we might see in terms of poor appetite and weight loss. Those are some of the things to think about and might cause a red light to go on.
In a recent report by the U.S. Department of Education, researchers looked at 41 children who had shot fellow students. The report found that 2/3 of the students felt they had been persecuted, bullied, threatened, attacked, or injured prior to the incident. Believe it or not, the most negatively affected students on our school campuses aren't bullies or victims. They're bystanders, those that witness bullying but aren't directly involved. The fear of not being part of the crowd or becoming possible targets themselves forces them to respond in ways that can actually make things worse. Some bystanders intensify a conflict by yelling encouragements to the bully. Others are content to walk by and ignore what's happening, believing it's none of their business.
I just want to sit there and see what happens, so if I get questioned about it, I'm just don't go in it because, it's not you. You're not involved. It's let them do it. If they want to do it, they'll get in trouble. Don't get in trouble. That's my biggest fear, of being in trouble.
Unfortunately, what most bystanders don't realize is that they are in many ways the secret weapons in the battle against bullying.
A lot of times, if there's one person that would take a stand against that or go up to the bully and say, you know what, that's not right, and ask that person maybe after a bully incident happened, hey, are you okay? Do you want to talk to someone? How can I help you? If those kids that are watching the bullying stand up, then it's going to tend to happen less and less.
Someone who has that courage to say, this isn't a good thing to do, you need to quit, has a great deal of power in stopping the whole cycle.
Bullying and the behaviors that lead up to it are very real, painful, and frightening social issues that desperately require adult intervention.
Adults need to change their attitudes. That includes parents, police, teachers, school administrators, probation officers, and any other adult responsible for the safety of children.
we really need to look at ourselves and engage in the behavior we want to see our children engaging in. And if we don't want to see them bullying and we want them to learn to treat others with respect, then we need to do so as well.
Kids need to have that. They just need to have a positive role model, someone that's going to tell them, make them accountable for their behaviors.
What the parents can do is have open communication with their kids. Make sure that you ask open-ended questions, maybe saying, tell me about your day at school. What kind of things are happening at school? What might have been the worst part of your day?
Sit down and speak with your children in regards to how people are different. They have different abilities and or disabilities, and that treating them in a negative way is not right.
School teachers can get involved just by trying to change the culture of their classroom to, again, get the bystanders, other students, involved in preventing bullying.
It's best to avoid harsh criticism with kids, to try and be constructive. Harsh criticism, physical kind of discipline only leads into this whole cycle once more of bullying.
Studies show that the family is the best place to shape a healthy child, and there are many effective techniques parents can use to help care for a bully or a victim. Talk to your child. Ask your child questions and pay close attention to their behavior. Listen to your child. Look for signs such as fear of going to school, lack of friends, or increased anxiety. Be a positive role model. Integrate conflict resolution skills and practices into everyday discussions. Remember, children learn by example. Spend more time with your child. Get to know your child, their interests, their friends, and their goals in life. Set limits. Increase supervision of your child's activities and set reasonable curfews. Cooperate with the school. Keep in communication with teachers and administrators to make sure your child is safe and that monitoring at school is adequate. Seek support. You don't have to handle this issue alone. There are many support systems in the community that can provide additional assistance if necessary. A brief scan of the newspaper headlines or television news channels is more than enough indication of the seriousness of today's out-of-control bullying issue. Believing that the problem is only something parents or schools should handle is ignoring the fact that bullying and its related consequences affect everyone.
Bullying is real. It does take place all the time. It's even more prolific right now than it has been in the past, and it's going to continue until people change their attitudes toward it.
You know, bullying has been around for a long time, but what's different is we're becoming more aware of the effects that it's having on kids.
To merely dismiss bullying as just part of growing up is to deny one of the most destructive and painful realities facing our children today.